Have you ever started a metaphor or a simile and thought, oh, I could extend this further? There's another 2 or 3 witty or clever, amusing, if you're in the mood, levels of depth that you could take this to. I can already tell this is where this one's going to go. At the onset of filming, it was intended as a how-to video of how to get rid of the financial liability of an old boat that requires a lot of maintenance, requiring a bit of artistic licence, because this was a craft project, a big craft project for my father. It could be a how-to on how to get rid of your parents' hoarded junk, but it does sail flat-bottom boats. They've got their uses. Coracles didn't have sails, did they? I don't think, usually. Metaphors can be somewhat ambiguous, which could work to your benefit, but can also look distinctly like a Freudian slip. Mixing your metaphors, myxomatosis, a disease in rabbits. Sorry, I have to do the old rabbit joke. Rabbit goes into a bar and asks, "A cheese toastie and a pint, please." He eats the toastie and drinks the pint and leaves. He walks into the bar the next day and asks, "A ham toastie and a pint, please." He eats the toastie, drinks the pint and leaves. He walks into the bar the following day and asks, "A cheese and ham toastie and a pint." He eats the toastie, drinks the pint and drops dead. "Oh dear," says the barman. "It looks like another case of mixing my toasties." You'll note how the rabbit didn't say please in the last order. It might be a mixing Semitics joke, where the barman is extremely draconian, extremely heavy-handed, and is in fact getting by on rabbit pie. Don't burn your bridges and burning your boats. You might think these have sort of similar meanings. They can, but they really don't. Don't burn your bridges has come to mean a bit of a careerist mantra. In a career full of snakes and ladders, like the children's board game, don't burn your ladders. Don't steal the clients from your old firm. The mediocre people that employed you because they saw you as a high flyer, be nice to them when you're established. Don't lose your rag when you've got that process as punishment chat person at the other end of the phone or keyboard. Politely prize what you can for them, stitch them up if you have to, but you won't be able to. If you're a structural engineer doing a beautiful bridge across the River Thames and it builds up emotion with number of people on launch that were never supposed to be on it, stiffen it. Like they tell you to, don't go at loggerheads, saying it should have been ticketed and must be on every New Year's Eve, but hold out long enough to get paid for the redesign. Both is destroying all possible ways of getting back to that home situation, not able to be changed. Personally, I'd say it was something that was done to you rather than you do yourself, but it's to do something that forces you to continue with a particular course of action and makes it impossible for you to return to an earlier situation. Be careful and considerate how you dump someone. If you're a Viking longboat commander or an African tribal chief selling slaves to crypto-Jewish Portuguese traders to start the slave trade to the other side of the Atlantic for the price of a few glass baubles, you're gonna make sure your tribal rivals don't trouble you any further. When the Spaniard Cortez arrived in the Americas, the Aztec Americas, he burnt his boats so that all his soldiers and all his men would know that they had to fight and survive or die. Quite why they didn't immediately turn on him, I'm not too sure. Perhaps there was a ruse involved and it was all a bigging him up afterwards. That he had this great strategy, much the same as the Roman Caesar that invaded Britain. He was faced with a bit of his soldiers not really all that committed. They're getting beaten back a bit. Can we not sort of go home and try again another time? A bit like the Spanish Armada did many years later. And they got blown off course. But the Roman Caesar invading Britain burnt all the boats. So the legionnaires were going to conquer and make their home far on the other side of the empire from where they came from. That was their strategy. Don't use the neighbours to fight. They can get home too easily. So, symbolically, what does it mean to me to burn my father's sail, coracle, handcrafted, skillfully, boat? Well, I could get psychoanalytical, but the dilemma was made easier by the brother that binned all the control rods and sails, because he's just ignorant. Yes, I do live in the mountains, and there's no chance that I'd be putting the boat on the Isère River. It's either rapids or trickling between rocks and washed down tree trunks. There's really quite a lovely Unlikely Voyage of Jack de Crow, A.J. McKinnon, that I've never managed to get more than a few pages into at a time because it's so poetically written. I tried that poetic gibberish during COVID. That's essentially what I've had to give up on. Sailing with the wind suits, not an electric motor with solar canopy, but a putt outboard. Chambéry, Lyon, down Rhone to the Camargue and Montpellier, Marseille, and lose myself in the clanks, become one of the ingratiate myself to the hippie locals and paint it pink and do little tourist rides. I've had to give up that dream in favour of a £50,000 macgregor 65 intercontinental sailing yacht, or a arcona 400, a top-of-the-range Swedish brand that you need to have hoisted out of the water every winter. With its keel, it won't fit in your family garage. Garage? Garage? Is it garage or garage? How to dispose of a manxman. The Isle of Man has a cat, a manx cat with no tail. But speak to a manxman and they'll tell you there's also a flag with 3 legs to it. Very similar to the Sicily flag. Give him a Viking send-off, without the pollution of the Cornish coast when the sea takes over from the fire and it washes ashore. Into your kid's sandcastle, perhaps with a bit of grit from the crematorium that goes in your little darling's eye. And so I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh babe, I hate to go.